Hey guys, I'm Kyle,
I'm Kennedy.
I'm Abby.
I'm Lydia.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Riley.
and you guys are listening to the Mixed Messages podcast with the Sustainable Sisters Project. Hi guys, welcome back. Kennedy's laughing at me already. Welcome back to another episode of Mixed Messages with the Sustainable Sisters Project. Uh, Kyle's here, Kennedy's here, Gabby's here. We're going to be talking to you guys about my body, my choice, and the many things that occur with the same four words as rhetoric, as protest, as news, all that good stuff. Gabby's going to be leading our discussion today, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over. Go at it, Gabby.
Woo! Okay, I'm excited. All right. So, the first topic I want to run by with you guys is women's bodies versus vaccines and masks, of course, and how we use the rhetoric of my body, my choice, to be able to make our own choices about our own bodies without the government interfering. But how do you guys feel about anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers using the same rhetoric, being like, "Oh, don't force me to wear a mask, or don't force me to vaccinate myself because my body, my choice."
I feel like there's a very obvious difference because them choosing not to wear a mask or choosing not to get vaccinated is endangering other people, while a woman choosing what she wants to do with the rest of her life really isn't going to have a negative effect on other people, unlike refusing to follow CDC regulations.
Yeah. I also think a big part of it is that the increase of like abortion laws is that these are things that are being set in stone and written into governmental, you know, overture of like what they can tell you what to do and what they can't tell you what to do. Whereas with a vaccine, it's basically doctors and scientists telling you like, please do this for your own good, and people just believing conspiracy theories that like aren't even proven. So like with vaccines and masks, it's a voluntary thing. It's like a do this for your neighbor, do this for yourself. Whereas with my body, my choice in terms of women's rights and abortion rights and what they do with their bodies, it's a whole another thing that's now being controlled by the government.
Yeah, it's like with the whole like everything having to do with abortions and bodily autonomy. It's like there are laws being put in where they're basically regulating our bodies and our rights. Meanwhile, with like vaccines and masks have always been enforced and encouraged, but it really has always been a choice. It's never been like your safety has never been an option, whereas with abortions, it's kind of been like threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like another thing to talk about too, because these laws are important to have to make sure that procedures are being done correctly and like safely in sanitized facilities, but also for example, like the Texas Heart Bill. I think that was one of the strictest abortion measures I've ever seen because it bans procedures as early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy.
Yeah.
And somebody was saying like, oh, that's like basically a missed period.
Yeah.
Like imagine after 6 weeks you don't realize that you're pregnant and it's like it's too late because you
It's too
thought you
late.
only
Yeah.
missed a period. Yeah, that's dangerous.
That's crazy
I
to
can't
me.
imagine that. Yeah.
I still think it's
So
just like a silly thing. Like, so many people are like pro life, and I hear pro lifers use the same words as like my body, my choice in terms of like the unborn baby that's not even like a baby yet. Um, and like it's crazy because it's like people giving opinions and trying to run other people's lives with something that really wouldn't affect you at all. Like it's just crazy to me
exactly.
how much people want to control what other people do.
Yes, when it
Exactly.
comes to abortions, I feel like that should be between the woman and the man if he is in the picture.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
ultimately, the final say should be for the woman because she's the one who has to carry this child for 9 months and who's going to have to take care of it for the next 18 years. And you have to think about it this way: if this woman is not ready or prepared or doesn't want this child, that is not going to be a good life for the baby,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't want that for them.
Yeah.
And there are other courses of action, such as adoption, but keep in mind, most of these people standing up against abortion aren't the ones who are stepping up at like
Exactly.
offering to take
Exactly.
care of these children. Like, you don't think about where's this child going to go if this
Hmm.
mother isn't suitable to care for it. So
Yeah.
that's what, like, you're not really thinking about the baby, you're just thinking about what you think is right. And
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
really unfair because they're not taking into account the circumstances.
That's always been my number one thought is like, what happens when the baby's born? Like, a lot of these people who get abortions or need, stuff like this is people who can't take care of the baby, people who aren't ready for the baby, people who were raped, stuff like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is there's
Hmm.
more to, or people that have health conditions that require them to get rid of the baby so they live. I'm like, there are people that are already here that have people that love them and know them that may need the abortion to survive their pregnancy if something goes wrong. And when the baby's born, if the baby isn't who these pro-lifers want them to be, what happens then? I
Exactly.
posted something on my story like a really long time ago when this was like first blowing up, of like, if the baby you save is gay, what are you going to do then? Because a lot of these
Hmm.
pro-lifers are far right who just are conservative and anti this and anti that. And it's like, if that child grows up to be something that you hate, then what? Like, you don't care about this kid anymore. You were fighting for them tooth and nail, and now they're in the foster system. They're being switched from home to home. They're low income. They're on food stamps. Like, they're scraping through life because the family that they were born into couldn't take care of them. And I'm like, that's just not fair. And I'm like, this is fine. Like, if you guys want to force women to have every kid, then you need to come up with a plan, because right now the mothers don't. And that's not even their fault most of the time.
It really isn't. And you have to think about this. When people are trying to have children, they're usually, in most cases, in a steady relationship. They have a steady income, they plan for this. But I feel like in most cases, people getting abortions, like, sometimes they're teenagers. And, people are always like, teenagers aren't ready for all this and that. They're still children. So why would you want a child raising another child?
Yeah.
But,
But
like,
then
It
you
kind
wouldn't
of
let them
like
get an
brings
abortion.
in.
exactly. I know. But, and then the other thing is, you have to think about this. Some babies don't always come out healthy.
Right.
So what?
Hmm.
And some people don't have the means to take care of a child that is not healthy because medical expenses are crazy now. So it's just, if you're pushing for these people to have children, you need
You
to
need to
step
think
up
about,
and
yeah.
offer something to help. You can't just be fighting tooth and nail and then not care when the baby finally does come into this world, in my opinion.
I think that's when you know it's more about controlling the
Women's
women and what they
bodies.
do than actually like caring about the life that
Yes.
comes
So I
from the
feel like
pregnancy.
it's not a
Exactly.
fair excuse because they're just using it to get their point across. When in
I think
reality,
it's
they
like
don't
it has a
actually
lot
care.
of faults. I think the movement like has a lot of faults, like the pro-life movement. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, if they were to like improve it, they should like if you're going to force someone to carry the baby to term, I think you should at least have the decency to help that person even after the pregnancy, like help them with supplies for the baby. Otherwise, it's like I don't think the movement is very credible. As well as I also wanted to like jump onto like what Kennedy said because sometimes people who do need abortions are teenagers that have unfortunately like fallen into situations like that. And it kind of makes you think how hypocritical the government can be because you're not allowed to adopt until you're legally an adult, 18. But then how are they going to force like a 16-year-old teenager to like keep a baby that she's not even financially stable to have, or like she can't even care for, like, period. So I just think it can be like
Yeah.
very hypocritical.
And you have to
So
think, people choosing to get an abortion, it's not an easy decision. It's already
Right.
hard enough as it is, and it's already going to be
oh my
traumatizing for the
god.
rest of their lives. So adding all that
Yeah.
extra pressure really isn't fair to young girls or women
Mhm.
at any
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
I can imagine that getting an abortion is not at all an easy decision to make, and I've even heard stories from women who have had abortions that like they either like live with that guilt for the rest of their life, or they suffer from, I think, PTSD. Don't I'm not sure, but they do suffer from trauma from abortions because they can't live with the guilt.
Yeah.
So
I also feel like the laws that are going into place that are banning abortions altogether and putting tighter restrictions on them and the time limits, like they don't necessarily stop abortions from happening. They just make it more
exactly.
dangerous for people to get one. Like
Hmm.
people do backroom
Like it's still
procedures
gonna
and more
happen, but it's
dangerous
gonna be
ways to get rid
unsafe.
of the child. Terrible.
Hmm. So, the next topic that I actually wanted to cover with you guys, since school is coming back up again and we're all going back into school, we got to do with hypocritical dress codes and the differences they have for boys and girls.
Hmm.
How do we feel
Oh,
about
wow.
that?
My body,
Especially
my
since it's
choice.
summertime. Especially since it's
Yeah,
summertime here in North Carolina, it's like you either get super hot or super cold, and it's like, are you guys gonna tell me what to wear? It's like way too freaking hot out here.
for real. Yeah, I melted a little bit early last year. I wore long pants pretty much all year until like the last week of school. So like the first week of school, I came in like jeans. Oh my god, I was hot AF, but I didn't want to get called out again because like I'm so tall
Uh huh.
and like
It's
thick
so
thighs do not save
annoying.
my life at school.
Oh
Like
my god.
I'm struggling. Like I can't wear skirts and like shorts. I get called out for because my arms are so freaking long.
But the thing is,
Oh my
it's a
god.
double standard because they don't dress code everybody. They
No,
only dress
that's
code
true.
some
That's
people.
true.
And it's
Mhm. Yeah.
unfair. If it's like, if you're going to have a dress code, enforce it for everyone, or just don't enforce it at all. Because not all teachers
Exactly.
do. It's just a select few that you have to watch out for,
Yeah.
which makes it extremely annoying. Because it's not like we're going to show up to school and like looking like strippers. We're just trying to wear shorts, maybe a crop top, just because it's hot. It's not like we're being revealing. And the main basis for a dress code is, like, I've heard this before, is to keep boys focused. I'm like, if
Oh
the
my
guy
god.
can't focus, that is not my fault or my problem. They just need to learn self-control,
Yeah.
because it's not fair for you to make me feel bad about my body and what I choose to wear just because it makes you or somebody, like I shouldn't have to be worried about a guy when I'm getting
Mhm.
ready for school.
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
be focused on my studies and what I need to get done during the day?
Yeah. And like it just like reinforces like the sexualization of like young girls, and it's like I understand, like, for the dress code, maybe you want to, like, reduce distractions, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't think you're reducing distractions. I think you're just
Yeah.
creating a really inappropriate environment of sexualizing young girls. Like, just let
Exactly.
people dress how they want, because I honestly don't think that it distracts anyone.
Exactly. My shoulders, I don't think are that distracting.
I mean, I have really nice
Exactly.
collarbones, but like, I don't think they're gonna.
I know. I don't think it's gonna make
Y'all,
anyone go
chill
crazy.
out. I mean, honestly, I think that's where it all begins with like the whole like boys grow up thinking that girls need to dress a certain way to show certain things. You know what I mean? So like we're always I mean they're told what we're told. So they're told that girls are supposed to not dress revealingly to not distract them. So then they grow up thinking that that's how it should be, so that if a girl walks out with a short skirt on, a tight dress on, like revealing top or whatever, then they're like, "Oh, like free game. Like what? No, 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 no,
Like,
no,
I
no.
am not your property. I am not something you can
Literally
just.
backwards.
Mm-mm.
Exactly. Like there's got to be a different way to there has to be a different way to teach guys like, "Hey, can you like control yourselves? Like you're not really
Exactly. Why
entitled
don't
to
we
like
start
a woman's
teaching guys
body."
self control at a younger age rather than girls?
Exactly.
Like, it's the reason girls mature so much faster than boys do. And it's so
Mhm.
annoying because people like to make excuses for guys who don't know how to control themselves and end up hurting people in the process. But you can't make an excuse for it. Like, they should be able to live up to their mistakes and take responsibility and be punished for what they do. They like people cannot keep making excuses. It's not fair. It's not fair to women at all.
Even like as guys get older, they still make excuses for them, and it's like
Yeah,
you're almost an adult or you are an adult,
yeah.
and learn to control yourself.
We believe in you guys. You can do it.
Mm,
There's
Oh.
also discrepancies in how different girls are treated with different dress codes. Because I've had this conversation with a guy friend of mine and a girlfriend of mine. The guy friend was like, I should wear a crop top. And I was like, yeah, you should. And then he was like, would I get dress coded for wearing a crop top? And I was like, you probably would the same way as I probably would. And my other girlfriend probably wouldn't because of her size and the way she looks, her build. She's shorter. She doesn't have as much chest and she's not as curvy. So they're
Mhm.
not going to call you out for stuff like that because you can wear like mid-rise jeans and like a kind of low-hanging crop top which still shows your midriff and they're not going to call you out for it. But a curvier girl who actually has like a chest is going to get called out like immediately because they're like, no. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? Now you're
Very
practically body
creepy.
shaming someone
Yeah.
and like calling them out for a dress code when they're really not doing anything.
yes. What
Mhm.
makes me really mad is when I see someone walking around wearing the same, like basically the same thing I am, and I'm the one that gets talked to.
Yeah.
It's extremely unfair.
The dress code really just like unfortunately encourages like very many harmful rhetorics, body shaming,
Hmm.
sexualization, even like rape culture. It,
Yeah.
it just it does not do anyone any good.
Yeah. And they say it's for like professionalism, you know,
but
like uniforms and stuff.
Mm,
But even
uh,
uniforms, I've seen the situations where like everybody has to wear like the same thing, but then it doesn't work on everybody, you know? Like people should be
yeah,
able to change it to feel most comfortable.
exactly.
Because that's how you stay focused. Like girls need to learn too. Like what?
exactly, like,
What are you
how are you
talking
supposed to
about?
be focused on your schoolwork when you don't even feel comfortable in your own skin and you're worried about what other people think of you based on what you wear to school every day?
Or you get pulled out of class for wearing something you did feel just fine in, and now you've missed class.
Exactly, and it promotes the idea of maybe, body disorders, you know,
Yeah.
or eating disorders. Sorry, I said that wrong. But because, you're making girls feel like they're not good enough or they're not beautiful, and they are, and it's extremely unfair that you're creating this sort of idea in this environment that's it's just such a toxic environment that nobody wants to be in, and that's the reason so many people I know hate going to school because just fear of being judged from
Hmm.
classmates and teachers.
Yeah, it's tough.
You guys made some very great points there. I liked your point of views for that because I know a lot of people really hate the dress code, girls especially.
We're going to pause the conversation here, guys, but stay tuned for part two of this episode of Mixed Messages with the Sustainable Sisters Project. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Sustainable Sisters Project and at Sustainable Sis 7 on Twitter.